If you are at all self-conscious about a double chin or jowls or a sagging jawline, I'm about to reveal the specific hairstyles that you should absolutely avoid. Okay, now I've been doing hair since 1995 professionally, and over those 30 years, I've had kind of a focus on how hairstyles actually impact and work with face shapes. So I'm gonna use that knowledge that I've gained in that 30-year term and explain to you some very specific styles that you should stay away from, but also just some overall ideas. Regardless of what style you want to move into, you kind of know how to modify it to function better for you. Basically, I want to teach you how to fish, not just give you a fish. So if you are concerned about accentuating or bringing more attention to this area, we're going to talk about how to not do that. Let's dive into it. This is my model. I've got her right here with her hair pulled back so that you can see exactly what her face shape is and kind of what she's dealing with. But there's something that's super important that you need to understand right out of the gate. Some of these styles you're gonna look at and you're gonna go, but it looks fine on her. And that is true, and it's not the point though. Just because a style looks good on somebody, that's not so much what's important. What's important is where it draws the attention of whoever is looking at you. So for instance, even though it might not be making the jowl area look more dramatic, if it's drawing attention towards this area in the face, it's going to still be more unflattering for you and ultimately make you feel more self-conscious. So my goal is to teach you how we actually get the eye to move away from that area, to de-emphasize it. And don't stress it. I'm not just gonna tell you what not to do. I'm also gonna tell you what to do instead. So I got you covered. Okay, first one is a blunt bob that lands right at the jawline. Now, keep in mind that any shape that lands right at the actual jaw is going to draw more emphasis to adding fullness to the face in general, but also it's going to bring the attention straight to that jawline. Now, as you can see in this photo right here, because there's all this bulk on the sides right there, it's adding more width, but also it brings your eye down the shape so that you're really focused more on this area, and that is drawing more emphasis to that area. So what we want to do instead is to start getting that focus out of this area and actually bring the eye up the shape. Now, how do we do that? One way we can start is by adding a little bit more length to the bob shape. This will help to just elongate some of the face in that area a little bit and draw more attention away from right at the chin. Now with that said, keep in mind that this length, even though it's longer, it's still bringing some of the eye down the shape because the main volume is right in here. So even though this length isn't pointing right at the chin and drawing more emphasis to that area, it's still not doing us the best service. It's not taking our attention away from this area. So what we would do, add a little bit of layering and maybe even a soft bang like we see right here. Now the reason that this helps is because it, one, opens up the face a little bit, meaning that it doesn't close the face off right at the chin and draw more emphasis to the chin. But most importantly, what this is doing is it's actually bringing the eye up the shape because there's less volume in these side areas right there. And that means that if we are bringing this eye up the shape, we can't also bring the eye down the shape at the same time. This is super important to understand. This is a little bit of a nugget that's gonna transcend just this style and really talk about all of the different styles. So now let's head a little bit shorter. The next style you should stay away from is a short pixie that's really, really, really tight on the sides. Now this is a very important difference between just having a pixie. It's the side length that really is going to change this up for us. I look at this and I go, actually, that's a cute style on her. The question is, where does this bring her eye? And more importantly, can we modify this at all to bring more attention up the shape? Anytime we've got the sides really tight right here, it's going to make the top look like it's got more volume, which can be a good thing, but it also adds a lot of length to the face, and it can actually start to make the face look very square, and because of that, it'll actually draw the eye down the shape a bit, all right? Now, this is very nuanced. On this particular photo, if I'm completely honest, I don't think I did the best job photoshopping this and really getting a shape that shows this particular situation off as well as I could have, because realistically, there's a little bit more volume in this area. So on this one, the style still does this and it tapers in at the bottom a little bit, and that actually goes a long way to lifting the eye up the shape. But if this style were even more straight up and down here, okay, that would even be worse. And if that were tighter and straight up and down, that would be a bigger problem. Now there's one other thing that you can't really see on this photo that does make a difference, and that's what's going on in the back. If the sides are this short and tight or tighter, that means the back and the nape is gonna be quite a bit tighter too. And that means that from the profile, this is not gonna do a very good job of softening any of the jaw area or adding more definition to the jaw area or bringing more emphasis to an accentuated jaw, accentuated cheekbone structure, etc. So one way that we can address this is by adding a little bit of length in specific areas. And I'll show you. Having a little bit of length around the neck and a little bit of length on the sides, really what we're trying to do is we're accentuating more of this angle here. And if we do that, we're lifting the eye up more. But more importantly, when we do that, we're accentuating more cheekbone structure and jawbone structure. And again, if we're doing this and lifting that eye up, we can't at the same time be bringing the eye, or the focus, I should say, down here. So it's either one or the other. So small changes like this make a big difference. But the other thing is there's a little bit of length right here in the back. And what that means is that from the profile, that length can come forward a bit and kind of wrap around and almost, not completely, but almost cup the jaw a little bit. Now what that's gonna do is accentuate a stronger jaw structure. And again, that from the profile helps to lift the eye up the shape, as well as create the illusion of a little bit more volume in the crown, which gives it a little bit more accentuated cheekbone structure. All of the lines of the face are being accentuated, and your eye, as the person looking at you wearing this, their eye, I should say, would be directed up the shape. Does that make sense? This is gonna be important for moving forward. So now let's move on to another shape that maybe you should stay away from. Now, if you're getting value out of this, huge help. If you actually have somebody that struggles with this, share the video with them. It's such a big deal. Help them, and you're gonna look way better to them. And it helps me. And if you're liking the content, subscribe. It's absolutely free, and it actually helps the channel. So yeah, do the things. Leave the comment, share it with your friends, subscribe. And with that, let's get back to the video. You don't want to hang out here and listen to me do. Okay, the next shape that you should stay away from is long, one length, very flat hair. Now, I already feel like I'm gonna get it for this. Every time I talk about one length, longer hair and how that it can be problematic, and maybe in some scenarios you shouldn't do it, it's like I get this just treasure trove of hate, people freaking out about it. You may think that because this length kind of sits in front of your shoulders in some ways, if you want it to, that it kind of hides that area and it draws less attention to it. And in some ways, you're correct. However, because of the weight of longer hair, especially when it's not layered, as you can see, even on this where it's very flat, it still does this because there's still more volume down here, right, than there is up here. And that means that this shape is doing this, right? It's not doing this. And if it's not doing that, then it's bringing the focus down the shape. So an easy way of thinking about this, and this might sound crazy, but kind of think wherever your hair is fullest is many times where the eye is gonna focus on. So if it is long and one length, it's likely that it's gonna lay flatter on the top simply because of the weight of the hair. Not opinion, just physics, I guess, or hair physics at least. And therefore it's gonna be a little fuller at the bottom, and therefore it's going to be bigger at the bottom and bring the eye down the shape. If it's bringing an eye down, it's not bringing it up. And if it's not bringing your eye or focus up, then it also is not capable of accentuating as much in terms of jaw structure, cheekbone structure, or lifting the overall face. Just how hair works, not an opinion, just letting you know. So what would I do instead of this? Instead, we want to soften this shape up a little bit and create a little bit more point of interest, if you will, in other locations. Okay, now in this I get it, it's a completely different overall shape. It's wavy, it's not straight, all of the things. So mainly if we look at it, if your hair is longer, the probability is still high that you're not gonna get an enormous amount of volume up here. Okay, it's gonna lay a little bit flatter even when it's layered, just because of the length the layers have to be to balance with the overall length of your hair. But with this little bit of wave and the volume that we do have, we still have volume around here, and it kind of tapers in right in here. And that is doing a lot to create more of this look, or draw the eye more up like that. And therefore, if we're doing that, then we're also accentuating more jaw structure. And all of this, again, is lifting that eye up the shape. And that means that even though there's still a little volume down on the bottom down here, it's not so much wider like this than it is up here. This is still pretty straight. And again, because of these lines right here, it's still giving us some volume. Now, one other thing that there is going on here is we've got some swept off bang. Thing that works really well about this is the length. Now, because this length of the bangs breaks right at basically the cheeks, it kind of adds this little triangle shape right there, right? And if you notice, that follows the cheekbone a bit. So this actually does a good job of, one, softening the forehead so that it doesn't feel like her face is too long. And that's what can happen. Many times, if your face is starting to sag a little bit, your jaw's starting to sag a little bit, it can make your face feel a little bit on the longer side. And that can be what you look at in the mirror and think that it just seems off. So if we add a little bit more fullness, but not too much, that can actually help. And so these bangs actually doing a good job of that. But at the same time, it's not straight across, because look what happens. If I were to take this and actually cover this all up, and all of a sudden now we just get into full bangs, it's actually going to make her face look more square. And when I do that, it actually draws more emphasis to the squareness in the jaw, not jaw structure. So it ends up looking a little bit more jowly, if you will. But the minute we take this stuff out, now you can see how opening this up a little bit actually has this line that does this. That means that this kind of intersects that. It could show a little bit more volume there, creates a little bit more definition on those cheeks, and it actually takes some of this area and makes it a little bit stronger because the eye keeps on doing this, or the focus keeps on moving up. Does that make sense? I hope it makes sense, because those are 3 styles overall that you should stay away from and what we should do instead. But let's just talk about a larger base on this. How do you know that whatever style that you decide to move into, that it functions best for you and is drawing your attention to what you want to draw attention to? Okay, first off, center parts. Okay, you can see here what a center part does. Now, this length range and still even this shape, again, it's not terrible on her. And again, this is a scenario where it's not a matter of it being bad, it's a matter of how we can actually improve on it to make it even work better for you. Many times what we want to do is we want to create, like I've been talking about, less volume in here, which means that we want to create a little bit more volume up in this area. But when we have our hair parted directly down the center like this, it doesn't allow us the ability to create as much volume in this area because that hair indents right here. And therefore, there can't be volume on a part. So what can happen is, because this area ends up looking flatter, it can make these areas look fuller simply by comparison. So I always say hair is an optical illusion. If it's too full in one area, many times it can make other areas look too flat or flatter. So if you want to create the illusion of volume in one area, many times taking volume out of another area can do just as much as creating more volume in the area you're trying to create volume in, right? So this doesn't allow us the ability to really do that. Now again, in that process of teaching you how to fish instead of giving you a fish, why is that a big deal? If we're adding more fullness or drawing the illusion of more fullness down here, what happens to the focus? So when he looks at you, it's fuller down there than it is on top. And yes, the eye starts to do this. There we go. Now, what else should we stay away from? Anything that's super flat. So anything that lays flat to your head. We really want some volume and some movement and some texture in your hair. Typically speaking, all one length of any length. So all one length bob, or an all one length lob, or a medium length hair, or all one length and longer. All of those are going to be problematic because they're going to inherently create more volume in the areas that you don't want more volume, which is typically at the bottom. All of those shapes are going to, on some level, bring your eye down. I would argue that we need some layering to create the shape necessary to lift your eye, or one's eye when they look at you, up the shape. But just so you understand, layering is going to be key. And then the next thing we want to stay away from is just any really strong lines, really strong angular lines. So for instance, what we don't want to do is really strong angular bangs, or we don't want to have a all one length bob that lands, like we talked about before, right here. Those kinds of things are going to draw more squareness to the face, and oftentimes they're also going to draw more emphasis to this looking fuller, or at least bring the eye more to this area. Let's imagine that your hair was all longer and you wanted to just add some layers in the very front. Well, I wouldn't recommend that you do layers that start right here at this length, right? And then just cup in there and then kind of get longer from there. because if we land those right at the chin, again, we're gonna find ourselves in a place where we're drawing emphasis right to the chin. So what you'd wanna do instead is start those layers even in here at the cheekbone somewhere, right? So you've got some layers and there's some softness that comes forward if you want to wear it forward, but it's starting up above the chin, so it's not drawing all the focus directly to the chin. But tell me you're following me at this point. You see where we're going with this? And then the last thing you want to kind of stay away from is just anything that overly exposes the neck. And what I mean by that is those super short, my haircut, right? It's very exposing to the neck. There's nothing to hide it. Having a little softness that comes forward that actually wraps around that jawline on any medium to shorter length hair, like anything in between the bob and the pixie, having a little bit of that softness that comes forward just does such a huge job in, from the profile, really bringing that eye up to shape, but also adding a little bit of accentuation to jaw structure, and therefore ends up actually accentuating more bone structure and really taking the focus up the shape and off of this area. So those are all styles that you should stay away from, and more importantly, what you should do instead. So I wanna know what you think. Throw it in the comments, did any of this make sense? And otherwise, if you liked this video, you're gonna love this video. So why don't you head over there, and I'll see you over there. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you over there.